So it was major controversy with this. So she faced major backlash on Instagram. Immediately, the fake outraged tennis fans showed up for this because, they always on the lookout. They always fishing, scoping, and looking for something to be outraged and offended by in tennis. Then Naomi Osaka said something. She responded, "Girl, I know you didn't just do blackface." Shut up, Naomi Osaka. I already had it up to here with Naomi Osaka wanting to be a SJW for Black Lives Matter. Naomi Osaka, she is merchandise for Nike. She's a Nike mouthpiece because Nike want to be socially woke. They want to be social justice warriors. So since Naomi is half black and since she's sponsored by Nike, they're paying her, pimping her out to be a spokesperson for this Black Lives Matter narrative movement. And I think it's racist of Naomi to be a part of a racist movement like Black Lives Matter. So she has no room to try to call out anyone. What Naomi Osaka, what she needs to do, she needs to call out her pimp Nike for having a long-standing history of treating female athletes that they sponsor very poorly. So why don't she terminate her multi-millionaire dollar Nike contract and be a SJW against Nike for their poorly treated Nike-sponsored female athletes? Why don't she do that? And be an SJW for Nike's poor treatment of their overseas Chinese workers. Since you're half Asian, why don't you terminate your contract with Nike and be an SJW for them against Nike, Naomi Osaka? And I'm still waiting on her ass to hand over that trophy and prize money to Victoria Azarenka that she won at the US Open because America is such a racist country that she needs to bring social awareness here. But once again, she happily walked her ass across that stage and accepted that trophy and that prize money. So she needs to shut the hell up. Because if Dana Yashrimska, if she was American and if she was sponsored by Nike, Naomi wouldn't be acting offended by that photo. None of the liberal social justice warriors would see anything racist about it because they'll be all cheering, applauding, and praising Dana like, oh, look at her. She's so woke. She's an ally. She's down for the cause. She's an SJW for the Black Lives Matter movement. She's so progressive showing unity. Oh, applaud her. You see the hypocrisy here? And this is the reason why I stopped buying Nike products, because of pimped out brainwashed sponsored Nike SJW athletes like Naomi Osaka. Do you honestly think Naomi had a thought in her own mind to be a SJW for Black Lives Matter? No, she had her daddy, Nike, forcing her out here doing this. But I digress. But since it was a white police officer who did this, here comes Black Lives Matter, here comes all the woke athletes, here comes Naomi BLM Osaka on the scene. I feel like, I have to do something as being a black woman. All this injustice, these racist white police officers killing, these innocent black men. Girl, you're like 23 years old and you don't know how to talk. Why do you sound like a 5-year-old when you talk? Like you're afraid of what you're saying. I'm gonna need you to speak like an adult and not the average age of a Chuck E. Cheese attendee. Naomi BLM Osaka standing in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, so that means she's a Marxist as well. Since Marxists don't like capitalism, like Naomi capitalizing and enriching herself every time she wins a slam, since Marxists want to live in a non-capitalist society, Naomi should be giving her prize earnings to those trash, mediocre players that Andrea Pekovic was talking about that can't make any money on tour. Distributing your wealth to the less fortunate players who don't have your talent. So everyone in the league will have no money issues. That's what Marxism is all about. Naomi BLM Marxist Osaka. And Naomi BLM Marxist Osaka, I don't give a damn news. Naomi boycotted the French Open press interviews, then she withdraws. She talked about suffering from poor mental health since 2018. Yeah, after winning her first slam, and it brought her more notoriety. That's what sports is all about, and that's what happens when you're one of the top athletes and you're winning top prizes in your sport. Of course, you're going to get more famous, you're going to get more popular, and you're going to get more media attention and more media coverage. That's a part of being a superstar athlete, Naomi Osaka. And if she wants to stop getting media attention, then she needs to quit playing tennis like her sister did this year. If you want to be a private, low-key person with no media attention while being a superstar athlete, then playing professional sports is not for you, Naomi Osaka. You see, that's what I'm talking about. These multi-millionaire athletes, they so pampered, privileged, and sheltered. This girl has an amazing opportunity that millions of aspiring girls that pick up a tennis racket will probably never achieve. And here she is in a superstar tennis position, complaining about doing press interviews or messing with her mentality. You know what? This brings me back to what Andrea Pekovic was talking about. You know, her trash ass, she can't get out of her first round now. And she was talking about some of those women's tennis players that are struggling financially on tour. And here's Naomi in a position that most of those low-ranked tennis players would dream of. I bet some of those players are giving her the side eye like, damn, she got all this talent, she's winning all these Grand Slams and making all this money and one of the top superstar athletes in tennis. Don't you know how many of those low-ranked bum trash ITL players, how they would kill to have your spotlight? And here Naomi is complaining about it, talking about poor mental health from doing press interviews. Don't you know how short an athlete's shelf life is? And she's wasting that valuable time complaining about being depressed from doing press interviews because some sports journalist in a press conference may ask her a question that she doesn't like? I swear, this girl got her fourth slam and got that tennis princess syndrome. Y'all always say that Serena, she's a stuck-up tennis diva. Serena, she's a queen of tennis. And look, Naomi, she got her fourth major and now she wants to act like a tennis diva and not wanting to do press conferences. But all this boycotting drama, this is a ruse. This chick is trash on clay and she don't even want to be bothered with playing the French Open. So I don't even know why she even came there. She should have avoided all of this and skipped it like she did last year. Like fake an injury or something, because I guarantee you, at the end of the year, at the US Open, she's going to be fine. She's going to be okay. All this mental health stuff is going to dissipate because that's her time to shine. That's her time to win more slams. At this point, this girl's a running gag to me. I'm tired of her bringing all this drama to tennis. And some of those idiot tennis fans, when Naomi says she's been having mental health struggles since 2018, they bringing up that incident with Serena. It was her winning a slam and her becoming more famous and popular in sports, in the sports tennis world. That's what that was all about. It was not because of that, you idiot short school bus riding tennis fans. And let's get down to the nitty gritty. What's causing her mental health decline? Being a multi-millionaire superstar athlete? All that stress from being woke, Marxist BLM supporter? That's stressful? You're tired of all the police brutality, these police officers killing these unarmed black men? That's stressing you out, Naomi Osaka? And anyways, why is she trying to boycott interviews at the French Open? Like, she should have had did this at the US Open last year. She was walking around wearing face masks with victims' names on it, talking about how racist America is. The police brutality against blacks is out of control here in America. She should have done this at the US Open. Like, if you really wanted to boycott at a major, you should have did it there. Like, boycotting at the French Open, like, what did the French do to America for you to be boycotting there? What would you boycott in France about? What? France giving that Statue of Liberty to racist America? That's why you was boycotting at the French Open for? Talking about for my mental health. Her mental health looked fine to me when she was posting all those pics on Instagram with her ass out. That shows someone with confidence. She looked confident when she was winning the Australian, when she won the Australian Open back in February. She didn't look like she had any mental stress or any mental health issues. That's why I'm over this chick. Yeah, she's a good hardcore tennis player, but she's just being extra. She's just doing too much out there. And as long as this chick keeps pulling these stunts, I'm gonna keep dragging her ass like I've been doing. Like, she wants to be woke, shutting down tennis tournaments and boycotting tennis interviews. That's why she's so stressed out for having to do all this extra stuff, trying to be a political social justice activist. Like, she wants all the media attention. She wants to do press conferences and interviews when she's bringing awareness to that racist Marxist Black Lives Matter. She wants all the media attention and press conferences when she's playing well and winning majors and being praised. But when she's getting negative criticism for playing like trash, especially on clay courts, then she wants no media attention and she doesn't want to do press conferences. And that's my problem with this chick. And why that Naomi Osaka did not show up at Wimbledon. Why would she show up at a major she's trash at? Like in 2019, she lost to the first round to Yulia Putintseva. Yulia with a Y instead of a J, like her parents misspelt her name, Yulia Putintseva. If I was a top player and I lost in the first round to a trash player like Yulia Putintseva, I would not show up to the 2021 Wimbledon either. BLM Marxist Osaka, be honest. She knew she did not play Wimbledon because she's trash on grass and was going to get knocked out in the early rounds anyway. For me, a top player should be able to produce top results on all surfaces. And a top player like Naomi should be willing to put in the time and the effort on improving on those surfaces she's having difficulties on. But she doesn't want to do that. She wants to make up excuses talking about her mental health. Never have I ever seen a top player using poor mental health as an excuse as to why they play bad on certain surfaces. She wants to be a top player but can't handle the criticism that comes with being a top player when you're not performing at a top level. Then she brought her sad, melancholy, boo-hoo pity party over to Time magazine, talking about the same reason why she pulled out of the French Open, because of her fragile mental health. Like I said before, if Naomi cannot handle the limelight to being a professional top tennis athlete, then she needs to step aside and let another player take her spotlight. Because there's hundreds of women on the WTA tour that would gladly take her number 2 spot in the world, because she can't handle the pressure of criticism from sports journalists. You cannot actively go out seeking the media attention when you're on the top of your game and use that same media to do TV commercials to bring publicity to your sponsors and your brand, because Naomi Osaka is a brand. But then shun yourself away from that same media when facing criticism. First of all, the media press is not there to support her. They are there to cover her. And if covering and reporting her when she's not playing well, that's what they're going to report on and ask questions about. The media, those sports journalists, they are not a part of her PR team. So those sports reporters in those press conferences, they're going to cover her like any other athlete. Like, if you're performing well in your sport, that's what they will report on. That's what they're going to cover. But when you playing like straight up trash at a large scale event like the French Open and Wimbledon, you can't hide away and avoid the media, because you don't want them covering you when you're not performing well. That's not how the media works. You cannot turn the media on and off like they're a light switch. She withdrew from Wimbledon expressing the same reason why she pulled out of the French Open, but all of a sudden, her mental health problems have improved in time for her to play in the Olympics. Wow, what a miracle. Now, I would really take her mental health issues seriously if she was not playing in the Olympics. If her mental health is in such a bad state of mind that it is causing her to pull out of French Open and not play in Wimbledon, then she should not be playing at the Olympics. But of course, it's the Tokyo Olympics. Of course, she's representing Japan. Of course, she's going to play there. She was not going to skip out on the Olympics because her sponsors was not going to let her skip out on the Olympics. Who's not going to pass up an opportunity to play the Olympics in their home country where everyone in the media is going to be funding over them? I don't care about Naomi playing the Tokyo Olympics. And when she plays the Olympics, I'm going to be supporting every player that she plays against. For me, every opponent that she plays is going to be my favorite. And Naomi Osaka lost in the 3rd round. Now she wants to take an indefinite break from tennis. She should have had taken a break and stayed on break after all that press conference drama back at the French Open. And then this chick sat up there busting into tears in a press conference. What this girl's mental state is when a reporter can't even ask her a simple, legitimate question without her boo-hooing like a toddler after someone raised their voice at them. Like, this 3rd round loss finally knocked some sense into her, because no professional tennis player should be breaking down like that over simple questions in interviews. Because it does not make any sense at all for a top tennis player to fall apart like that in a press conference over a simple question. And it wasn't even a loaded question. Naomi acting like this, she needs to fire everyone on her team, everyone around her on her payroll, because there's no one around her on her team that cares about her mental state, and she should not be playing tennis. It's her team putting pressure on her, it's her sponsors putting pressure on her. She needs to step aside, and she needs to take some time off and get her mental health in check. That's what she should be doing, and now she's finally doing that. Because up until this point, Naomi Osaka, she had to play. She had no choice not to play, because Naomi Osaka is a brand. And all her sponsors that pay her the big dollars want her to play at large-scale events. Large-scale major tournaments, especially at tournaments she's had success at winning, like the US Open. Like I said back in my French Open update video, when Naomi was making all that drama about going to press conferences, I guarantee she was going to show up at the US Open, and all that protesting in the media was going to stop at the US Open. I really don't have no sympathy for Naomi Osaka, because she brought this on herself by wanting to be the very best in her sport. And with that comes fame and fortune. And when fame comes criticism and scrutiny, which she's not mentally equipped to handle, which is absolutely unacceptable for a player who wants to be the very best in their sport. It's Naomi's own fault for being too talented. Naomi wanted to emulate Serena. When she came on the tennis scene, she wanted to be the next Serena. And she got herself to the point where she's a superstar in tennis, and now she's falling apart because she can't handle the pressure. But you cannot actively be the very best at your sport, but then fall apart when facing criticism when you're not playing the very best at your sport. Naomi Osaka. Well, she needs to get herself together on the offseason, because this mental health shtick is getting old and played out real quick. And another thing, I watched Naomi's Netflix docu-series, and Was that supposed to be a comedy docu-series? Because I laughed throughout the whole entire thing because of how ridiculous it was. And it was a waste of time. I sat there and watched that whole 4-part docu-series in one sitting, and I was surprised at myself for doing that. And I remember in the docu-series, they was praising Naomi when she shut down that tennis tournament. Like, one of my first rant videos was about Naomi shutting down that tennis tournament. They was talking about she was the first tennis player in history to shut down a whole tennis tournament. By being influenced to protest with that trash Black Lives Matter, Naomi BLM Marxist Osaka. Okay, first of all, women's tennis is mainly dominated by European women. Nothing but European women. And some of those European women have wars going on in their countries, okay? Some of those women had to escape wars to play professional tennis. And I've never heard of none of those European women players shutting down a whole entire tennis tournament to protest a war in their country. Naomi Osaka.
I just want to tell you that some people have war in their country.
You tell them, Natasha from Russia. The only war that's going on here in America is Black Lives Matter terrorizing their own communities, torching and burning their own cities into the ground. And Black Lives Matter is the organization you shut down a whole tennis tournament for. No wonder why her mental health is so messed up. Look at the type of stuff that she's focusing on off court. Like hooking up with Nike, and Nike got her out there acting all woke, looking like an absolute fool last year at the 2020 US Open, wearing thugs' names on face masks, portraying America as being a racist country. If America is a racist country, she's playing a sport that's dominated by white European women, and her as a, quote, black woman, unquote, was able to have success in a sport and have half of her success in America starting with Indian Wells back in 2018. And then she went on to win the US Open later on that year. If America is so racist, then her as a black woman, how was she able to achieve success in a mostly white dominated sport while playing in racist America? Naomi Osaka. And then turn around and line herself with Black Lives Matter. The same Black Lives Matter that has utter disdain for America. The same country that she had most of her career success in. This reminds me of the exact same thing at the Olympics when the US women's soccer team was taking a knee at the national anthem and all of us Americans cheered when they lost in the semifinals to Canada. It was like, how are you going to represent the United States as an American and then display that you hate the country that you're representing? And I know some of you might say, well, she wasn't born here in America and she doesn't represent America, so she has no obligation of loyalty to America. But the fact that she's completely Americanized and she started her tennis career here in America and had half of her career major success in America by winning Indian Wells in the US Open twice and then have no respect for the country that made her a superstar millionaire. That's why I'm bringing this up. You see, this is why I have no respect for this player and I have no empathy for athletes like this. And some time off the tour for the rest of the year would do her some good. So tennis fans like myself don't have to hear about her beefing with the media when she's playing like trash and whining about her mental health when she's losing.